Together, ready? 3, 2, 1. Lovely. Yep.
I've done this a lot.
Hi, welcome back to Nugget Productions. I'm Eli, I'll be your host today, and with me I've got...
I'm AddyHarajuku. I do TikTok content and Instagram content on collecting, anime, and pop culture.
What made you want to start creating content in the first place?
To be honest, I just started creating it. I've been doing it since I was like a teenager. I started off with like your Monster High videos, making up little stories. Then I got on to figure unboxings as a teenager. And then later, as soon as TikTok came out, I was kind of starting to grow on that, especially during COVID when people were stuck inside. I had a dodgy knee, so I couldn't work. I ended up just making a ton of content. I never planned to be a content creator, but I have a lot of interests and I love to share them.
Your interest, of course, you said something about unboxing figures and like all the Monster High stuff, so you've always been like a bit of like a figurehead in that sense.
Oh yeah, I've always been a collector. Like, think, you know, Pokemon cards, Go-Go's Crazy Bones, Monster High dolls, like anything that you can think of when it comes to collecting dolls and figurines, I was always on top of as a kid. I've always been someone who just feels the need to be a maximalist.
What's the root cause for your collection? Like, what's the reason behind it?
I think my dad's kind of influence when it comes to learning about anime was definitely a big part of it. He was the reason why I started getting into anime. He introduced me to the VHS collection he had, so that was like Akira, Heavy Metal, all the kind of classic cartoons and anime. And from there, I got really, really into it and began kind of like discovering that figures existed through Flickr. And so when I started coming to Comic-Con over 10 years ago, I just began like kind of picking them up as I went along, learning about what bootlegs look like, but also what authentics look like. And it just grew from there.
I want to ask about one specific figure you have in your collection, which is your, I think, either quarter or half scale Super Sonico.
How did that
come into your possession? That's insane.
I've been a fan of Super Sonico since I was a teenager, so I've always kind of collected her, or the very least admired from a distance. She was always a character I resonated with. I know it's a bit of a controversial one, but I just find her to be kind of just nice. I just like her. But I ended up just browsing eBay one day, as I usually do, to see if there's any deals coming up, and I saw that the 1/2 scale Super Sonico that I have wanted for years but never thought I would get came onto eBay about 2 hours away from me for pickup, and I was like, okay, this is it. Like, this is a sign. Like, it's 2 hours drive, it's pickup, she's in great condition, she isn't broken. This is it, it's my time. And so I was like, you know what, bye. Drove to Essex, picked her up. She was so heavy. Oh my God, resin figures, like big, heavy halves, so heavy. Picked her up, brought her back, and now she lives in my basement office.
Is it like a solid figure, like complete, like solid inside?
No, she's semi-hollow. So the actual kind of like plastic or kind of resin material is about a centimeter thick, but everything else is hollow. But she is so heavy, and her base is like solid wood.
What got you into like the whole Harajuku fashion in the first place?
With Harajuku fashion, I first got into it from kind of already being an alternative fashion. So I loved Gothic fashion when I was kind of like a preteen, around 8 to 9 years old. So my mum began buying me Gothic clothing. And then I loved emo culture and emo fashion, so I began getting really into adding like bright colours into the kind of blacks and having kind of more alternative hairstyles. And then as soon as I hit 16, I was able to kind of get a part-time job. And I'd already learned about Harajuku fashion through Fruits Magazine, through Flickr, through Pinterest, through Tumblr. And then finally having a job, a part-time job, I was like, I can start to buy stuff, you know? So I bought cheap bits off Amazon and eBay to start off with, as everybody does. It's a rite of passage. And then it just grew into a big obsession. Like, I was finally able to dress the way I wanted.
So your entire like aesthetic is just Pinterest board then?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I think it comes from a variety of places. It comes from people's own like selfies and content. It comes from like print magazines. So again, like think of your Fruits, your Kera, your Gothic Lolita Bible, but also again like Pinterest, social media sites that allow like great deal of photo sharing and emphasis on photo sharing.
Did you ever want this to become your full-time job, or was this like another thing when it happened?
No, I wanted to be a film director for the longest time. I was in film school. I am a qualified video editor. I'm qualified to teach video editing, sound design, a bunch of different things. So I qualified with a lot of stuff. I was ready to be the next like Spielberg, ready to be the next like big kind of person in film. Didn't happen. Went a different direction for a couple of years. Was doing kind of bits and pieces, and content was always for fun. Like, I never thought it would be my job, and to be honest, I never thought content creation as a job would be my kind of thing. Like, I was very happy being behind the scenes rather than in the spotlight, especially because I was so self-conscious and anxious. But since it's kind of like happened, I guess, I've started to kind of like open up to the idea more of it being a full-time job. But if anyone is curious about doing content full-time, always have a fallback. Always have an education. Don't pin your hopes on being a content creator. That's useless. Don't do it. Have a real world job. Have an actual job. It humbles you. Work in retail, work in food. It makes you a good person because you know the type of person that you don't want to deal with and you don't turn into them. You know, you need to be so in touch with reality before you get to leave that behind online. And obviously just make sure that you set your expectations realistically. Like, content creation is it's the hardest job you will ever do. I currently work a full-time job and content creation. I don't need to work a full-time job. I choose to work a full-time job. But honestly, doing social media is a commitment. You will deal with hate, you will deal with misunderstandings, you'll deal with harassment, you'll deal with all the highs and lows that come with algorithm changes, video views. It's nuts. Like, I never thought I'd be in the position I'm in. I never thought I'd get to attend an event like this as someone who would attend it as a kid and be so excited because Tom Scar was doing a giant panel, like if Tom Scar, Ed's World. I'd be like, oh my God, they're famous, they're huge, you know? And I never thought in many years' time that I would be in a position where people come up to me and in any way see what I do as beneficial. I mean, content creation is a good thing to like learn to do, and there's definitely things about it, but honestly, in terms of like, you will never be prepared enough. Like, the best thing you can do with content creation is learning Photoshop, InDesign, Lightroom, learning like the high quality editing like materials, Premiere, After Effects, Avid. Learn how to use those, be really proficient in those. If you're good at Premiere Pro and After Effects, CapCut is like, it's just easy. It just flows right out of you, and you learn about editing, comedic timing, and everything else as well. You know, like a content creation course, I think is valuable because more and more people want to do it. But it's a lived experience as well. Like, you've got to be dedicated to just. You never switch off. You're never off the clock. You think you're off the clock, you get a supermarket nap. Someone will come up to you and be like, oh my God, hi. And you'll be like, oh, I have no idea what to do. I was just coming out here to buy a block of cheese. I look horrendous. I'm literally in my pajamas. And oh great, I've now been spotted, like, oh, this is not what I wanted.
What's your funniest like fan interaction you've ever had?
I'm quite lucky that all my kind of, I guess, interactions with people who follow my content have always been incredibly positive. Like, I wouldn't want to say that people being incredibly nervous is funny, because obviously they're very nervous. Like, for them it's not funny, they're terrified. But it's always very endearing. Like, it's always funny to me that people think, like, that are so scared, because I'm such a normal person. I really am just a regular person. And so when people get so anxious, I'm like, there really is no need. Like, I am such a just regular person. I'm literally nothing special. Like, off camera, I'm so chill. Like, there's never reason to be scared. I think the interactions I've had with people that haven't been positive are very rare, but they obviously stand out more, like the positive ones. I don't think I've ever had anything where I'm like laugh out loud funny in terms of like, they've done something funny. Although I have had somebody like semi-cosplay as me, and that was incredibly flattering. And I was like, hold on a minute. I was like, oh, you've got a really good sense of style. And they're like, I know. Guess who I'm cosplaying? I was like, oh, okay.
That must be like very odd, but also very flattering at the same time.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I never thought that the way I looked, for certain, I had so many insecurities when I was younger. I never thought the way I looked would inspire anyone at all. Like, again, I'm not like the skinniest, influencer. I'm not like clean girl aesthetic. I have a round face. I've got a weak jaw. I'm not your mainstream archetypal attractive content creator. I'm kind of weird looking, and I'm fine with that now. But as a teenager, I had no confidence, and so to have people come over and just put so much, just rizz me up so much and hype me up so much, I'm like, wow, I never thought anything I did and the way I looked would at all be positive for anyone else, and it's so humbling.
Do you have any brand recommendations that you're always like, yeah, that's the one I'm going to?
So when it comes to brand recommendations, I think the most accessible is probably AC/DC Rag, and they cover everything. Like, you like Jiraike, they're starting to like preach into that. You like Yami Kawaii, they've got that. Menhera, they've got that. Like Decora, they've got it. Like AC/DC Rag are really affordable. They're becoming even more size inclusive. They have a lot of size inclusive stuff, but they've actively said, yeah, we're doing more plus size, which is great for anyone who is, a bigger person and they really want to wear this fashion but don't feel confident finding places to shop. AC/DC Rag's the best bet. Affordable, fun, fashionable, and every type of style that you can think of.
If you could go back or forward to any point in your career, past, present, future, Where would you go and what would you say to yourself?
What would I say to myself?
Where would you go as well, for starters?
Okay, where would I go? Part of me would love to see where I end up, because I'm constantly scared of the future. It's so unpredictable, and I get so anxious about being in a position where I'm lost again. You know, I don't want to be lost. I don't want to not know who I am or what I'm doing. It's a terrifying place to be. But equally, I think the place I'd want to go back to is when, I think maybe 2021, 2022, I was so upset, I was miserable. I had a horrible life behind the scenes. It was awful. I was broke. I was with a horrible partner. I had no confidence. I was losing my sense of self. You know, my passion for dressing up, for making content, anything had just depleted. So when I uploaded, it was really forced out of me. I really struggled to encourage myself to like myself. And I think I'd want to go back there and just say, like, you know, firstly, it passes. It always passes. And secondly, like, this, you know, this is something you enjoy. Like, this is your passion. Like, no matter how shit things get, you always have something to say. You always got something to talk about. You don't have to buy new clothes to talk about clothes or to wear them. You don't have to be on trend. Like, just talk about the shit you like. You know, talk about what you enjoy. You know, and don't worry about the future so much. And I'm sure my past, you know, my future self would do the same to me now. They'd be like, why are you worrying? Like, why are you stressed right now? Like, why are you thinking about your future and where you're going to end up? Like, I'm in my mid-20s. You know, that's the point that a lot of people hit. Like, you go through your early 20s, you feel like a failure. You know? You feel like, I've not done what I want to do. I want to be a director. I want to win a BAFTA. I want to do this. I want to do that. You feel so lost in your early 20s. It's terrifying. It's a terrifying time. You're just an adult, but you don't feel like an adult. You're no different than when you were 16 mentally. And you're like, I'm so lost and I'm so confused and I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing. The path that I thought I was going to have is just not there. It doesn't exist. I can't see it. What do I do? It does get better. Like, you hit your mid-20s and for whatever reason, things just start to work a little bit better. You start to figure yourself out and you know who you are as an adult. You know, you grow that mindset. Your willingness to learn expands again after traumatizing school, you know, where you're like closing yourself. I hate learning. You open yourself back up to learning and things do get better. It just takes time.
Well, thank you very much for that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, so we can continue interviewing some awesome people like Addy over here. I mean, Jack's behind the camera. Give us a little wave. Hey! That's it. You lay out.